Hello everyone, how's it going? This is Alpha Core HD Gaming and here we are for our F1 2016 McLaren Ultimate Career Mode. I want to say thank you again for your continued support for the channel. If you are enjoying it, obviously do subscribe to the channel if you're new, and if you're enjoying the videos, do be sure to hit a like on the videos. It really does help me out. The first thing I want to say is F1 2017 is very close to dropping, and I just want to know how excited you guys are. If you are excited for the game, then do please put a comment under the video. Let me know how excited you are. The plan for me is to get the game as soon as possible, so hopefully on the day of release, and then we'll see if we can get a career mode out pretty quickly from there. I do want to continue this F1 2016 career mode though, because the races are getting much better. As we're kind of picking up a little bit more speed and catching up to Mercedes and Ferrari, we are starting to get a few more exciting races in terms of battles at the front. Even if the races are like that, we can't quite catch them, we are getting a bit closer. That being said, if you haven't seen the previous race, then please be sure to go back and watch that now, and if you want to watch, that is. If you haven't seen it though, go see it, and if you are happy to continue this video then without seeing that race, then fair enough, and I will spoil it for you though in this race by talking about it. So in Azerbaijan, what happened was that we got a decent first half of the race, and then it seems like, as always in this season, that the AI seem to have a little bit of extra pace with Mercedes and Ferrari, and they seem to pull away a bit at the end. I think it's because they're not running rich mix early on, so then they kind of turn their engine up later on and just give themselves that little bit of extra speed and pull away through the second half of the race. So obviously if we finished the half distance, then we would be a lot closer to them. So here we are in Austria, and as you saw from the introduction, the engineer brought to us another upgrade. So he brought a drag upgrade. The suspension arms have been upgraded, so we've got a little bit less drag, which should help us out on this track. Obviously it has got a few straights, but as I said in the previous video, not like the ones in Azerbaijan, so the straights aren't as long. You only kind of get up to around about 200 miles an hour, 320 kilometers an hour, so you don't really reach the top speed as you would in Azerbaijan. So it should help us out a little bit in terms of engine wise, and we seem to go better on shorter tracks anyway, so we should be alright. So we were doing the track acclimatization there, and I think we got through it with flying colours, and now we're doing a tyre wear test. So you can see we're getting a purple for this one, and I think we get purple for quite a few of them, so it wasn't too bad. If you remember, in Azerbaijan we were struggling a little bit for tyre wear. It was because there's a lot of slow speed stuff, whereas in Austria there's a lot of high speed stuff, so you don't really have to be on the traction so much. You kind of just got to go around a few flowing high speed corners. There is a couple of little traction zones, but nothing like there is in Azerbaijan, so that's kind of explaining why the tyre wear test is a little bit easier. See, we're still 4 attempts inside the time we needed, and we still got purple for the tyre wear, so it was a little bit easier around here. As you can see, another purple lap on the third lap, and then I think we're going to cut forward a little bit more to show you the last lap. Again, still 4 attempts inside that time we needed. We're doing 1 minute 10.9s. Yeah, 1 minute 10.9. Our best is a 1 minute 10.5 on the super soft. So super soft or soft, I'm not sure. But we're on to the ultra softs now, and we're going to try out the qualifying pace program and see how we can do. So you want to swing your car in the first corner. Fourth gear is probably the optimum for speed, whereas third gear you get better turning. So I prefer to take third and then shift to fourth as I leave the corner, so it gives me a little bit better turning. And we did, again, as always, we did a lot of setup work to kind of find a really decent balanced setup to kind of get the best lap time out the car. You can see we're currently 0.2 up on this lap time, so it's not really going to set as the fastest lap, I don't think, or it might do, I'm not sure. But Rosberg's in first at the moment. He's on a 48.2 for the middle sector. So there is a few sections on this track where you've got to be a little bit patient before putting the power down. And we're actually 4.5 tenths up on Rosberg's time, so this is going to set us to the top of the timesheets. We're 2.5 tenths, just dropping a little bit up on our target lap time for the qualifying pace. So you want to swing into the final corner. Unfortunately, we cut it a little bit, but I wasn't going to go back and just redo the lap because of that. So we're trying to get this done as quickly as possible and get through these races and get through these practice sessions. So we could have gone round again and done it again, but basically we got a 1 minute 8.8. You see Vettel's done a 1 minute 8.1 on the super soft tyres, so he's nearly 7 tenths quicker than us. But we are in practice one, and if the season tells you anything, or this game tells you anything, there's nothing to worry about if you're a little bit off pace in practice one, because you will find some pace as qualifying comes along. Even if it's not a lot of pace, you'll find some. Depends on the track, really. So practice 2 was quite interesting because we've done 7 laps already, as you can see, and it's raining. We've been out on the intermediate tyres for a while. Lap 11 now, you can see we're still going quicker. The track is drying out a little bit, but we were generally quick. We were actually generally quick and genuinely quick around this track in the wet, which seems to be becoming a little bit of a feature lately, because in Monaco we were very quick in the wet. Here we're very quick in the wet. I'm not sure about Canada. I don't know if we did any wet running in Canada, but you can see we end up cutting the corner again there, turning in too much. Very tricky conditions though. You can see we're 2 and a bit tenths up on our lap time from our fast lap. So a 1 minute 18.8 is what we've got so far, but we seem to be very, very quick in the wet. The upgrades that we've brought to the car have made us a lot more competitive. We've got a little bit more engine power, but we've got a lot of sort of drag upgrades, chassis upgrades. We've had a fuel upgrade, I believe, or maybe not. We might have that next, but we've had a few upgrades, which has helped our pace in the wet quite a lot. And also we've had a lot of just generally, as we're going through the season, we seem to be getting a little bit better at setting the car up a little bit. We seem to be a little bit more confident in the wet because we're getting a lot more wet running in practice sessions. So just as the season's gone on, we seem to got a little bit quicker in the wet, whereas earlier in the season, for example, in Sochi, we didn't really have much practice in the wet, and then the race was it started raining pretty early in the race, and we had to do most of the race. I think like 2/3 of the race in the wet, and with the car as it was at that point, we just didn't have the confidence and couldn't really push as we wanted in the wet, and we kind of lost time a little bit. So they say a 1 minute 18.7, which is actually fast enough to be the fastest lap, and our 1 minute 18.8 would have been fast enough as well. So Rosberg half a second back. So we are pretty handy in the wet. So it would, to be honest, if the tracks were wet, we would be pretty handy, and we would be in for a fight to win the race in most of these tracks, I reckon, if they were wet in this part of the season, because we are creeping up on the guys at the front. So we've done a 1 minute 8.6. This is practice 3 now. We're just kind of going around again, trying to get our best lap time out of these ultra softs. So we did a 1 minute 8.6, and then we went on to fill up the fuel tank. You see we've got 67.5 laps of fuel on board, and we're just trying to set consistent lap times, because this is what the car's going to be like when the race starts. We were doing like 1 minute 12.3s there. So when the race starts, your car is going to be like that, full of fuel. So that's why we're trying that, because that gives you a bit of practice for the race. So we filled it up, went for a few laps with full fuel to see how the car feels, make sure it was definitely stable before we went to qualifying. Obviously, if we've got an unstable car before qualifying, we've got some work to do, and maybe got to scrub a little bit of the qualifying speed off it for the race pace. So our agent is now telling us our qualifying goal is to qualify 7th or higher, make sure we qualify above our rival Carlos Sainz, and beat Fernando Alonso. So that's pretty standard stuff as always. We've got the measure of Fernando at the minute, and we had the measure of Carlos in the last race, only just, but we still got the measure of him. And I'm expecting a pretty competitive qualifying session, to be honest, with it being a short track, and we've got a little bit more pace to give. And an awesome shot of the Red Bull. I do like the fact that it's got the Red Bull in the middle of it. It's a nice track. When you first turn up at this track, it's so short that you've got to make the corners count, because you don't have any time to kind of make up time. On a bigger circuit, you could make a couple of mistakes and still find some time back, but the fact about this Red Bull ring is you've got to nail every corner. Otherwise, your lap time is just going to suffer so badly, because you don't have that time to make up for your errors. So it's kind of, that's what I like about the track, that you've got to be kind of very, very competitive and very, very accurate at it to get your lap time out of it. So here's the setup. As always, I'm telling you this one in qualifying 1, just so we don't spoil the later qualifying laps. So aerodynamics, front wing, rear wing 5. The transmission, which is obviously a differential, is the on throttle 70, off throttle 60%. You can see we're going around on the ultra softs here. I keep mixing them up. Suspension geometry, you can see minus 3.3, minus 1.8, 0.12 and 0.41. And the suspension slightly different to how it was in Azerbaijan, but the one thing that is still there is the rear anti-roll bars at 11, just to stop the car snapping at the back. So brake pressure 85, so quite high, and front brake bias 55. You always want to lean to the front because you don't want to really have the rear. If any brakes are going to lock, you want the fronts to lock rather than the rears. Otherwise, the rears are going to send you around. Tyre pressure 22.6 and 21.1. We had a little bit of 2 stabs at that one there, that corner. 11 ballast, so you can get lots of oversteer to turn the car in. Because that car still is quite understeer, even with the kind of upgrades we've had. I like my car to be very pointy at the front end. I like it to turn in. I like to sort the problems out later. So if there's any, I like it to be stable, but I need to know that the front end of the car is going to stick, so I can actually carry the speed through the corner. If the car does understeers out of the corner, then I'm not happy. So if you ever use my setups, that's why they're like they are, because I want the front end to get in that corner, and then I want the car to grip up. I want enough grip through the corner to carry the speed that I want. So Alonso there finished 3rd, I think. We finished around about 9th or something. So it was just pretty much a banker lap to get us through qualifying 1. And now it's going to start getting serious now. 1 run on qualifying 2 on these ultra soft tyres to try and nail a good lap. Obviously, just to get through the top 10. This isn't for pole position yet. So we nail the first corner, and then we switch up to 4th and then 5th. Got to get a good run down this straight. Obviously, nailing that first corner is important because you don't want to lose speed as you run down the straight. So you want to pick up your braking point just before the 100 metres board there, all the way down to 2nd. Kiss that inside curb. Your car will try to snap a little bit as you put the power down, so be wary of that and try and correct it to the left. Then DRS open down the straight, coming down towards these boards just after the 100 metres board, so about 80 metres down to 3rd gear, well down to 4th and then down to 3rd, and then pick up the power as you come down this straight. You want to go down to 5th for this next one and just get on the inside curve as much as you can. It will understeer a little bit, but then be patient on the power, put the power down. Again, a little shift down to 5th. Try and get on the inside curve if you can, and then shift up to 6th. Your car will try to step away from you, especially if you're pushing. At the rear end, it will try to get away from you. This next one, 6th gear, trying to get on the inside curve and not run out too far to the outside. And then your final corner, you want to run out. You don't want to run out wide like that. You want to keep it on the inside. It's always be wary of the power coming out that final corner because it can push you out wide and can. If you get it wrong, you can end up in the wall because your back end can touch the curbs and spin you off. So we did a 1 minute 8.5. Raikkonen did a 1 minute 8.3. Nico Rosberg did a 1 minute 8.0. So those guys have picked up their pace a little bit, and we're still a tenth and a half or so of Fernando's time. So we've got to catch him in qualifying 3, and Hamilton there he's going to be starting the super softs by the look of it, with a really strange strategy. So qualifying 3, here we go. Let's try and stick this car on pole. So into the first turn, nicely nailed into 3rd, 4th, and then up the straight, all the way up the straight again. It's a little bit overcast as we're coming down towards this 2nd turn. We're within 0.36 of 0.036 of Vettel as we come through that sector. And we are quite strong in the middle sector because I've got the car set up with enough downforce to kind of carry the speed through the middle of the part of the lap. So we've got turned in nicely there, and we're heading down this short sort of curving straight. Got to get this car nailed on the left hand curb as best we can. So much better than the qualifying 2 lap and a much better exit. And again, we've nailed it much better than last lap. And get a little bit of oversteer as we put the power down up to 7th, up to 8th. And we're looking for our braking point. Again, just before the 50 metres board there. Down to 6, nicely nailed. Even better than the qualifying 2. And ran a little bit wide, but it's going to be a quicker lap. And we were about 2 tenths up, and we carried that through to the end of the lap. A 1 minute 8.033 has put us on provisional pole position. We're going to see if anybody else can improve before the end of the session, and they can't, so we're on pole position. Another pole position for us, so we seem to be pretty good at qualifying at the moment. It's just the race where we're not so good because we haven't got the pace in the race. 1 lap we have got enough pace to stick it on pole and be very good, but it's the race where we kind of still need to improve the car a little bit. So I don't know how many pole positions that is this season. I might have to go back and look, but there's all our resource points. Just to say that we've passed qualifying and got a load of resource points which are going to come in handy for upgrades next race and so on. So there's our rivalry. We're going to absolutely smash Carlos, and it's going to tell us now. It should tell us now that we've come. Wow, we've just got everything on him. So the rivalry has been won, and you can see he was only 1/10 off in the first sector, but it's pretty much a straight, and third sector as well. It's a lot of straights. It's the middle sector where we made it count with our extra pace in the car. Our car's a little bit better downforce wise and things.
Guess who? I've seen the team's expectations for the race, so I thought I'd pass them on and wish you luck. Take care.
So the expectations are that we have to finish 5th or higher and beat Fernando. Carlos isn't even mentioned because we've just beaten him, so we haven't even got a rival right now. Our only rival's our teammate. So we're going to head to the track for race day, and we're going to get a little bit of an introduction from these guys, Anthony Davison and David Croft.
Austria,
I mean, look at the beautiful view. Look at that view.
Apple strudel, Mozart, Niki Lauda. Oh, and of course, one of the finest high-speed.
I don't know what it is. There's something about racetracks being in the forest that looks amazing, and like Spa as well. Spa is one of my favourite tracks, and I can't wait to get there on this career mode. I can't wait to have a race there, especially if we've got a couple more upgrades and we're in a fight for the win. I cannot wait. Even though we've introduced the drag upgrade, we've still kind of got a little bit. I'm not sure how much, but a little. It's when the car's heavy, because we haven't really introduced a chassis upgrade. So that's another thing. I think we really need to start introducing some of them sooner rather than later, but we just don't have the points for them at the moment. But it's in the race when we kind of got full of fuel. I think maybe the extra weight in our car is really kind of affecting us in terms of speed. Because our engine is kind of catching up a little bit, but I think maybe in terms of speed during the race, especially with long straights, I think it's more or less down to our chassis weight at the moment. So if we can start remedying that in the next few races, then we might be in for a lot more competitive second half of the season, where we can challenge for wins more regularly around big tracks.
So before the off, let's remind ourselves of yesterday's.
So this is going to be the grid they're going to show us. We've got us on pole and Vettel second, Raikkonen third. So two Ferraris actually doing very well in qualifying again. Verstappen and then Hamilton and Rosberg on the 5th and 6th places. Alonso, Ricciardo, Massa, Hülkenberg, and then Sergio Perez and Kvyat. So in the second Toro Rosso, and the Toro Rossos themselves didn't qualify that well, so that's a bit strange. Esteban Gutierrez and Pascal Wehrlein, Valtteri Bottas, Nasser, Haryanto, Magnussen, and Jolyon Palmer. It's a shame that the Renault team is so far back in this career mode. I would really like to see them get a little bit further up. It would be interesting if a lot of the teams actually kind of got themselves more competitive, and we could have a more equal sort of championship as well. It would be quite interesting. So this is the formation lap, and we're on the front of the grid, and there's 5 lights in, and we are away. So I've gone to the off-board view here because we got a decent start. You can see we actually cut across Vettel, but Vettel kind of turns into us and pushes across the inside curve. And then in the background you see Vettel and Raikkonen tangle up, and they cause a massive crash. And there's a bunch of cars, a Sauber and a Toro Rosso and a Force India go off the track. And I think a Sauber might have been involved in that. But you can see it's held up a lot of cars, and we've got away a little bit. There's 5 cars behind us, but Raikkonen and Vettel really did come together in that first corner, and they caused a lot of damage. And there's a car going very slowly on the second straight. But we managed to avoid all that. We had to jump across the curb because Vettel kind of turned in on us and pushed us into that curb. A little bit of wheel banging there as we came to the first corner, but then quite a big crash. And I'm surprised there wasn't a safety car, to be honest. But these first few laps of the race, we need to kind of try and build some sort of gap from these guys behind, and pull ourselves away a little bit, because I know that these guys, like Rosberg and Hamilton and the Ferraris and things like that, they're going to be very quick in the second half of the race, and I expect Red Bull to be quick at their home race, especially with the speed they've got through the middle of the lap. The downforce their car had is really great, and it doesn't really matter so much about the straight line speed for them, because they've got such a quick car through the middle of the lap. They can pick up a lot of time. I'm not sure how much, but a lot. You see there's bits of debris there in the down this second straight already from that first lap bunch of incidents. So glowing brake discs as we come down the DRS straight, and we haven't got DRS obviously because we're the leading car. Rosberg just behind us, a couple of seconds back. You see how hard we're pushing. We're locking the brakes up a little bit as we come around that corner. Not too much though, just enough to get ourselves around the corner. Little puff of smoke. And we're coming through this middle sector now. I say this is probably the most important sector of the lap to get right. So if you don't get it right, then you're gonna have the guy behind you all over you in the in the final sector of the lap. So coming into two fast right-handers now. So there's number one, and we run just onto the curbs, and then number two, we nail it perfectly, and we get onto the straight, and we don't run wide. Rosberg runs a little bit wider, and Hamilton's just behind him now on those super softs. So Hamilton's strategy there, obviously, to run a little bit longer in the first stint. And we've just set the fastest lap of the race. So lap 4, another fastest lap, 11.7. So we've got the gap to Rosberg at 2 seconds at the moment, but we are expecting those guys to pick up the pace. I think the race that we're really in is against the Ferraris and the Red Bulls and our teammate. I'm not sure we're going to have enough to beat the Mercedes, but I think the race that we really are in is against those guys just slightly behind. We are still in like the 4th best car. I don't think we've jumped into 3rd yet, so we are still only the 4th best car. So you would expect us really to be in 7th or 8th, but we are still fighting for the wins. So we are doing quite well. I think we are outperforming the car by quite a bit. Alonso seems to come back at us at the end of the race, but by that point we've already got a little bit further ahead. So pitting in on lap 11, lap 12, so leaving the pit lane now. I didn't realise it would give me control there, so a little bit of a hesitation on the throttle as we come out the pit lane. So we're going to emerge just behind Felipe Massa in the Williams. So you can see we're still ahead of Rosberg, who's just past the Sauber, who he's lapping, I think. But we are just ahead of Rosberg still, so we've maintained the lead after the first stint. Or maybe the net lead, I'm not sure if we are still in the lead. But we're cruising up behind Massa, who's probably getting blue flags by now, so he should get out of the way. You can see the blue flags are waving, so he should pretty much get out of the way pretty quickly. But he is holding up a little bit, and finally he kind of eases off the throttle and lets us around, but he's cost us a little bit of time. So we're heading through the middle sector now. And there's Rosberg again in the background. I think Rosberg's gone with super softs, has he? So an absolutely beautiful shot of the rear wing of the McLaren there. A little bit of a lock up. We managed to tidy it up a little bit. And now we've got a Haas just ahead of us. So we should pull away from Massa pretty quickly on our new set of soft tyres. So it's Gutierrez who's ahead of us. So we're in 4th place, but we're really kind of in net P1 at the minute when everyone pits in. Rosberg on super softs, and anybody else ahead of us really hasn't pitted, I don't think. So our plan was really kind of to go on the ultra softs at the start, and then go on the softs and get them out of the way, and then go on a set of super softs towards the end of the race. So it's taken us a couple of laps. So we're on lap 14 now. We're now catching up to Gutierrez. We've got a couple of people in the pits there. Bottas, I believe that was, in the pit lane, who's just gone onto ultra softs, and he's just been passed by Hamilton. So Hamilton must have been in the pit. So Hamilton's now emerging from the pits just behind Rosberg. So Gutierrez is now leading the race, and because of his slipstream we've now gained 2/10 on this lap, so we've picked up a purple sector and we're already alongside him, so we're going to try and get the move done early on. There goes the DRS flicking it open. You can see Gutierrez there, he's trying to squeeze us onto the curb a little bit, but we've got the move done. As we turn in, he's kind of got to give the position up. We had to go down to 2nd to get the turn in, but we've managed to get the lead off him. He did put up a little bit of a fight. He had to think about keeping the position, but then he realised that his tyres are kind of... He's been on them since the start of the race. He's a 15-lap old set of super softs. They are kind of falling away from him now. And we set another fastest lap there, 4/10 quicker than our previous fastest lap. So coming down the straight, you can see Rosberg still in 2nd place. Lap number 19 there's the pit boards telling us what's going on. So we've got Rosberg 1.1 seconds back, so he has got more pace than us on those super softs, which would be expected. But we are running a little bit longer than him, so hopefully we can hold him off for a while, even if he does try and pass us. So we've got the Renault now just ahead of us. I'm not sure who it is, but we're coming up on a Renault now. So 111.7, which is kind of accounted for with the lack of DRS, because on the previous lap we had DRS. Well, on that fastest lap we had DRS from Gutierrez. So you can see we are just getting closed down sector by sector now by the flying Mercedes of Nico Rosberg, and he's dragging Lewis Hamilton along with him. So this is the advantage that Mercedes still have. You can see that they've still got a quicker race car than us. Even with a few upgrades that we brought, they've still got a quicker race car. I'm not entirely sure what kind of pace they have in terms of... we've never really been on the same tyres, so I don't know what fuel settings we're on. I don't know what fuel loads they've got, and we're never really on the same tyres, so I can never really compare ourselves to them. But I'm guessing they've still got half a second on us easily throughout the race on the same set of tyres, so we've still got a little bit of work to do to catch them up. It's around about half a second, I reckon. Depends on the track. It can be bigger. If the track's a longer track, it can be a bigger advantage. They've got half a second, 3/4 of a second. But at the start of the season, I would have said we were about 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds off them. So we've closed them up quite a lot. We have to go defensive. And our engineer just telling us there. I've kind of mixed the engineers and the off-board footage and the on-board footage with the engineer, telling us that Rosberg's really going for it, and he's just set the fastest lap of the race, which I'm already aware of. You can see he's right behind me, so I'm pretty aware of what Rosberg's up to. We did go quite defensive in turn 1, so we're kind of trying to keep him out of our slipstream as well, because he's going to have DRS, as you can see, wide open down this straight. And as we come through this sector, a little bit of a lock-up from us. But the important thing for us at the moment through the middle sector is to keep Rosberg behind us and to make sure we hit all our apexes. If he gets past us down the straight, then there's not a lot we can do. I mean, we can go defensive to an extent, but we want to preserve our own race, because we know we're going quite long with these tyres, so we don't want to be fighting too hard with Nico, knowing that he's probably got a much quicker car down the straight. You can see how quickly he closes up behind us. So just the general package of the Mercedes means it can be a little bit more slippery. They can run a little bit lower downforce, and they've got a bit more engine power. You see again, we kind of go a little bit defensive, not too much, but Rosberg goes into the first corner. He goes in a little bit deep, so we switch back on him and take the position back, get a good run out of turn 1. Rosberg back in our slipstream as we come down this back straight. But he's not going to have enough to get past us just yet as we come into this next turn. DRS on the next straight, but what we were doing here was we were laying down as much traction as possible, trying to get a really good exit from that corner, so we could kind of defend down this straight. So that was our main form of defence, with our extra grip that we've got on the soft tyres, which will last a bit longer than the super softs. Through the fast corners, he's got a little bit more grip, but on the soft tyres, we seem to have a little bit more rubber to put down, so we can really push them in terms of traction down that straight. So you see he's just following us so quickly through those corners. Hamilton's now getting closer and trying to get involved with this as well. He's not quite close enough to make a move into the penultimate corner, and as we come onto the main straight, he's just got more grip turning in, so he can follow us quite closely. You can see in the mirror there how close he's getting towards turn 1. Not quite close enough to make a move, and we turn in and we keep the position for another lap. So we're just about holding Rosberg off at this point. He's not going to be close enough again down this straight to get us just yet. So the engineer telling us that we are marginal on fuel. Again, we're laying down a lot of traction coming down the straight, so Rosberg can't get near us. It's a DRS straight, but we're pulling away in the traction zone, which is allowing us to keep ahead of him. I absolutely love the off-board shots. They're so good. I hope there's more of it. What I was thinking was that would be good was if these replay shots had like a little caption telling you which cars are in the picture. So like in real life, but some things like that are a little bit too hard to implement. But we'll see. It would be interesting to have it. And it's the kind of thing I'd like to put in, but it does take time to do. We run very wide out the second last turn, which is going to cost us a lot down the straight onto the main straight. So Rosberg's a lot closer this time, and we're on lap 25. We go defensive on the inside, but we lock up, which allows Rosberg to sneak through as we have to rejoin the track just behind him. Rosberg's now in the lead. There's yellow flag in the next sector for some reason. There's a car going slowly on the right. I can't see who that is. It's Nasser, I think. So we've got a Sauber that's now out the race. But Rosberg's now sneaking through. You can see how much extra pace he's got once he's got past us. We're just going to kind of try to hang on to him for the next few laps. So lap 28, and we're 1.9 seconds behind Rosberg. Hamilton's still a little bit behind us. You see that's the gap to us and Rosberg. And the engineers just come over the radio to tell us there's a problem with Rosberg's car, so he's starting to slow down. So even though we're in second place, we're now looking at trying to catch Rosberg, trying to push back up behind him, knowing that he's going to have a slow car. So we're pushing so hard on the soft tyres, and 3 or 4 laps later, you can see we've closed right up behind him, and we're going to make a move for the lead of the race again. So we're under on fuel, but we're just sneaking past Rosberg, and that's the move done, and we're back up to first place. And Hamilton's so close behind his teammate right now, so it's really kind of Hamilton that we're fighting at the minute, because Rosberg's got problems. So now that we're ahead of Rosberg, we have to kind of try and get ahead of him a little bit further, because Hamilton's going to pass him any minute now. So we need to make sure that we make a little bit of a gap before Hamilton gets through. Obviously we're pushing as hard as we can. You can see Hamilton's already going to get the move done. I think Rosberg's going to pit now because he's got a problem. So Rosberg dives in the pits. That's Hamilton you see there following us. Hamilton has now pitted as well, I think the lap after Rosberg. So Hamilton's gone for a different strategy, so has Rosberg. Ricciardo's now the car that's in P2, Vettel's in P3. So we've managed to get a little bit of fuel back. We're still doing the 1:11s on lap 41, so we've been on these tyres for like 28 laps or so now. And we're still in the 1:11s with them, so they are holding up pretty well, and we are pushing very, very hard. So you see Hamilton's now 11 seconds behind, but he's basically got we've got a pit again, so he's so we're going to come out behind him no matter what we do, unless we went to the end on these tyres, which isn't going to really be advisable. Lap 50, Alonso's in the pits, so we'll be following him into the pits pretty soon. You can see I'm saving fuel for the end. You can see we're plus 1.9 laps. The reason I'm saving fuel is because I know Hamilton's going to be ahead of us, so I really want to push at the end on these super soft tyres. And I know that the other guys, there's going to be a couple of guys like Vettel and that trying to push us hard at the end. So I was saving a little bit of fuel, so now we can push at the end of the race. And I think the race wins out the question, but we've now got to push for a podium. So Hamilton's just got a little bit too much pace, but you see how much of a hurry up we get as we just sneak up the inside of Ericsson. We are not waiting for back markers to get out of the way, because we've now got Vettel just behind us on super soft tyres in a very fast Ferrari. We've got Rosberg in 3rd place, who may or may not have to pit again towards the end of the race, but we just have to push on these tyres now. Another lock up there as we come through the middle sector. Aerial shot of just how quick we're going down the straight. I'm just seeing if we get a radio message. So that gap behind is 3.8 seconds to Sebastian Vettel with a lot of laps to go. So there's still 15-20 laps to go, I think. And so we're being told fuel is good, which we know anyway. And lap 52, yes, there's still like 18 laps to go, sorry. 19 laps to go, and we've got a 7.4 second gap to Rosberg, and Vettel's just setting the fastest laps, as you can see, so he's got a little bit more pace on us in clean air. I think like the Mercedes, the Ferrari's able to run lower downforce and obviously has a little bit more engine power, so they're still, and obviously their chassis is a little bit lighter than ours, so that's kind of why I can explain how quickly Vettel's catching up to us. We're passing a Williams there, lapping him. And I think that's the Haas that's up next. So I couldn't see the Ferrari. There's Grosjean. So the traffic is helping us a little bit. It's now 3.3 seconds. We've set a 1 minute 9.9, so we've got under 1 minute 10. Grosjean is not making it easy for us. He's going to make us make the move up the inside. He's not going to get out of the way of the... Yeah, again, not helpful by the back marker, and Vettel will probably just get through dead easily. 3.5 seconds. Nico Hulkenberg's out the race, which means there's going to be a safety car. Ricciardo is only 1.5 seconds ahead of us, so what's going on here? Rosberg and Ricciardo are battling, which has basically brought them... So, have Rosberg and Ricciardo pitted? But they've been... That's brought them right up in front of us, so with the safety car. And they're going to have fresher tyres by the look of it. So Rosberg hasn't pitted, he's still on the softs. Ricciardo has. So Ricciardo must have been ahead of Rosberg and just come out behind him. But Ricciardo's now on fresh super softs, I'm going to say. And we're on sort of 10 lap old super softs. So this is going to be an interesting second, last part of the race. So after a couple of laps behind the safety car is now coming in, and we have got to get a move on. So Rosberg's been on those soft tyres for a long time. We've been on our super soft for 10 laps. And you can see how much we're pushing Rosberg there. If we had manual safety car starts, we would have been right alongside him and given him some more to think about. But we have to wait until he pulls away before we can even make a move ourselves. And it's a little bit weird. Once we get going, you can see we've got to defend a little bit from the car behind us, which is a lapped car as well, I think. So it's not going to make too much. There's Vettel so close behind him. And coming down towards turn 1, there is a little bit of an incident, as you'll see here. And Sainz and Rosberg nearly come together. Back markers get in the way, and we, just as the green flags flash, we managed to push ourselves up to second place. So we are now in second place with 9 laps or so to go. And 0.9 seconds apparently to Nico Rosberg, who is on a set of soft tyres. He's got Sebastian Vettel to fend off next. So I think him getting tied up in that little battle in the first corner has put him under pressure from Sebastian. So I'd expect to see Vettel kind of get past him very shortly, and I think it's happening right now. So Vettel has now moved up into third place, and it's going to get very, very tasty. A 1.5 second gap, and there's only 7 laps to go. And it's now going to be us versus Sebastian Vettel for second place, because we just aren't able to keep up with Hamilton. Even though he's on soft tyres, he seems to just have the pace. So it's going to be a scrap to the end between Sebastian Vettel and ourselves. And let's just hope that we can hang on. So you can see how close he is to us. He's just got the extra pace, even though we're on the same sort of strategy and we've probably got the same sort of tyre life. Vettel's got like half a second or something on us. We are just having to fight him off. He's been gaining on us ever so slowly, but he's managed to catch up to us, and we can see we ran across the dirt and kicked it up. So coming down the main straight, it's now going to be a fight into turn 1. Vettel's obviously going to have a go at us. He tries to go up the inside. As we go to on-board, we switch back like we did to Rosberg just before. We use our extra traction that we've got, so we've got a nice little traction setup for our car. We managed to get just back ahead of Vettel. He's still going to challenge us down to turn 2, so he's quite close to us. You see Hamilton's 2-point-something seconds ahead now, so we're not really interested in him. We're just trying to hold off Vettel, and this goes on for a while, so I'll tell you that now. So coming down towards this next corner, trying not to lock up onto the main straight. Sebastian Vettel's a little bit further back this time, so he's not going to get a go this lap. Lap number 67 we're on to now. And Vettel's just not close enough into turn 1. Lap 68. And Vettel's a lot closer this time round. You can see he just pulls out alongside us into down the main straight. But again, he runs deep, and we switch back, and we're going to get the better run on him. He's got a run up on the curb and got a lot of dirt on his tyres. And you can see we're side by side coming down this straight, and he's tucked back into our slipstream, having another look, and he's weaving side to side, trying to find a way through, and he still hasn't managed to do that. So lap number 68, Perez is out the race. So is it going to call out a safety car? It doesn't look like it at this point, but Sergio Perez is out of the race. Down the main straight again, Sebastian Vettel, it seems to happen like after he's had a go the previous lap, he doesn't get as close to the next lap. So lap 69, there's only 2 laps to go after this one. There's a yellow flag up ahead, and you can see we're heading into that zone now, so we have to be a bit cautious. And there is Perez on the inside, parked up. So heading through the rest of lap 69, I think this is the end of the lap. And again, Vettel very, very close to us, just shadowing us all the way round. Coming into the final turn. We're trying not to make any mistakes. The pressure is on from Sebastian at the minute. So he's going to go for the inside again, and again we're going to switch back and take the position from him, getting a superior exit from that corner. Lap number 70, there's only one lap to go off this, so if we can hold Vettel off for one more lap, then we're going to finish in second place. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic result. Not quite the race win, but if we can hold him off, we get second place, and it's going to be well worth it. We're going to be well worth our podium for this one. So heading into the final lap now, this is it. We've got to hold Vettel off. We run a little bit wide, so just like with Rosberg previously, he's going to get a good run at us. So we have to really go defensive here. We're trying to squeeze him a little bit, but we know he's going to run deep. So we're going to try the switch back again, and we get that move done. We'll back up the inside of Vettel. As we go to the onboard camera, you can see Vettel's now following us in our rear mirrors. He's following us very, very closely, and it's the final lap. So Vettel's going to get a little bit feisty. He's going to have a go this time. He hasn't previously, and he does try to turn in, and we end up touching, and our hand goes in the air. So Vettel had to have a go, but we've managed to hold him off yet again, holding the inside line, and Vettel couldn't squeeze round. And we've only got a few corners left, so hopefully this is job done, but we've got to keep on our game and make sure we don't make any mistakes as we come into this final few corners of the race. It's going to be second place if we can make it to the end. See, we run a little bit wide, but then we're going to try and pull back and get a nicer exit from the next corner. Vettel is still so close behind us. We've been losing time all the time to Hamilton now, but it looks like we've only got a couple of corners left, and we're going to make it to second place. Vettel's not going to have a look around the inside of that corner, and we've got one more corner to go, and it's going to be two. There's not enough time for Vettel to get past us. We're going to finish in second place, and because of that, we do celebrate again because we've made a really good result from, even though we were P1 on the grid, we've managed to finish in second. You see Vettel finally gets the move done after the flag. Gives us a little squeeze on that corner just to let us know if I'd had one more lap we could have had you. But second place is a great result for us. Win goes to Lewis Hamilton. But yeah, it's good to see that we could fight to the end. That's what I wanted this season. I want us to be able to at least fight to the end. Even if we don't win, even if we don't get on the podium, I want to have a good fight towards the end. So there we are, getting on the podium. Hamilton in first, us in second, Sebastian in third. I'm sure Vettel would have wanted to win, but and he might have even had the pace to win it, but we held him off, and we finished in second place. So yeah, it would have been interesting if Vettel had got past us, whether or not he could have won the race. But yeah, we stopped him doing that, and I'm happy about that. And that's just all of us celebrating, and we're going to have a look at the race result very shortly. So there you go, only 6.3 behind Hamilton. Our teammate actually finished in 4th place, so a great result for Fernando. Nico Rosberg obviously had problems, so he's in 5th place. And it's time for driver of the day.
Oh, well, I'm a bit spoiled for choice, Crofty. My instinct says Valtteri Bottas. Looking down the field, no one really jumps out at me.
So Valtteri Bottas is driver of the day, finishing in 9th place. It doesn't. Who cares about Lewis Hamilton or Felix, Lopes, Silva, or Sebastian Vettel or Fernando Alonso? Who cares about those guys? Like Alonso outperforming his McLaren. Who cares? So yeah, we're nearly 100 points back. We're 95 points back, but we're creeping up on Vettel because of that result against him.
That's got to be the flying fin. Wait.
So, again, Valtteri Bottas is the driver of the day somehow. I don't know how, but even Fernando's jumped him in the driver's standings now. So here's the Constructors' Championship. We are now creeping up on Ferrari as well, so we'll be hopefully catching Ferrari before long, and hopefully we can catch Red Bull before the end of the season. I think our goal has got to be finished second in the Drivers' Championship behind Mercedes, because obviously they're a little bit far ahead. We lost one position from the start. We had a couple of little maybe corner cutting penalties, I'm not sure. 97% clean laps, so obviously that's including contacts and any corner cuts we lost a bit of points for. Anyway, if you have enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. You've been absolutely awesome as always for watching. We'll be back soon for Silverstone. Bye bye.
We'll be right back.